Over the course of the last 2 months of making content for Zenless, I've learned that there are way more new players than I originally anticipated. And when I say new players, I guess we could consider returning players as well. But when I think new players, I really mean new players, not the veteran player that's been playing since year one. I legit mean somebody who is brand new coming into Zenless Zone Zero. And the thing that I notice when it comes to the new players isn't so much that they don't understand gacha games. They don't understand Zenless. And I've talked about this issue a number of times last year. I talked about this issue, it's literally the year before that. And most of the time it leads into a gigantic argument. Now, I don't start this argument for the sake of arguing, but the thing that I keep mentioning, which might be like vertical investment or learning how to play the game, the combos, whatever, right? Anything that I talk about it for a reason. And it's usually met with some pushback or some challenge, which is fine. I'm not like upset about that or anything like that, but I'm saying that simply because of the fact that I don't think the pushback is a good thing, especially right now. Now I'm going to explain that, but I want to lay out how I'm going to structure this video because it's kind of off the dome or off the cuff. Okay, I don't have anything scripted. I came back from Combo Breaker and I saw some stuff. I talked to some people. I really want to mention this kind of thing. So we're going to go through HP inflation in this video. We're going to talk about that a little bit very briefly. We're not going to talk about like the HP inflation itself. We're going to talk about the effect of where it is for majority of players at this current point in time. I'm going to talk about vertical investment and and why vertical investment is such a big deal. I could have sworn I got water and it's not around me. What the f?
Are you tired of losing? Are you tired of losing those 50-50s to bullshit? Well, don't worry, big dog, I got just the deal. Let me show you a popular website that helps gamers buy more for less. Nani? Not only can you score games for less, but they've also gotten a partnered top-up services, meaning you can buy your pulls cheaper too.
Oh, that's nice.
On top of that, Aniba offers something else I haven't seen any other site do, a 10% cash back with each purchase. Now I get cheaper pulls and my money back. But wait, there's more. Using my link in the description box will get you all set up to start saving more money today. Now get out there and go pull that new character.
All right, I got my water. As you can tell, voice immediately clear. Anyway. After HP inflation, I want to talk about vertical investment. I know that a lot of you guys, especially, and usually when I talk about vertical investment, someone's always like, oh my God, vertical investment, everyone can do that. That's a horrible idea. No, you are just uneducated. The easiest way for me to say that. And then I'm going to talk about a lot of the things that the free-to-play player wants to know or should know going into season 3, because when season 3 gets here, completely shaking up the game. All right, there's a lot of stuff that obviously I can't talk about in detail. There's some stuff that you guys have seen already, and there's stuff that we can speculate about and like what's happening. Okay, anyway, let's just kind of jump into it. Okay, so as I said before, we already know that HP inflation has been happening at a pretty steady pace. When I say steady, I mean that it's just continuously happening. There have been a few instances where HP has gone down, but it hasn't gone down to a point where it's like, okay, you know what, we can see it progressively going down and it's gonna, you know, stabilize itself. Some of the key examples that we have is Butcher. Butcher is a character that used to be able to be decimated, destroyed, annihilated with M0 all the way across the board, or I won't say all the way across the board, M0 Miyabi. And this Miyabi was something that was like M0, and you know, she didn't need her W engine. She could use the the Weeping Gemini, right? The A range. She could use Weeping Gemini. She could use her own W engine, or at the most you would need an M1 Miyabi, right? Or maybe an M1 Astro, or whatever the case may be. Just, it was a point that you could get a 65,000 score, which is a kill across Dead and Butcher. That boss was practically designed for her to beat the crap out of. Same thing with Ringer, and now that is not the case. If you try and look up some of the M0 kills right now, it is very rare that you get them. These Miyabis that are doing M0 or even M1 kills, they are so cracked out of their mind with these amazing builds that it is at this point very much unrelatable, right? It's almost unattainable for some people without getting insanely lucky, because Zenless, unlike some of the other games like Genshin or Star Rail, I mentioned those games in particular because both of those games have a much higher rate of controlling your substats or controlling your build. You have main stat selectors, you have substat selectors. They're not egregious like if you were to go into, you know, Zenless right now. When we came over here, I've already used some, but if we came over here and I'm looking for, right, like an ice damage and I want AP and attack, I come over to the disc drive bonus, I click on 5, I go to ice damage right here, boom, and then I want attack and AP, boom. I need 2 of these things, but I've already had a video talking about why this item was a horrible decision to put in the game. Not the item itself, but just like how much it costs and the ability to get it, right? The frequency that you get it. Whereas in Star Rail or in Genshin, they're giving these out not like candy, but you do get a consistent number of these per month. Whereas with us, we consistently get one, and that's not enough because there's no way for you to control it. If I'm not mistaken, Star Rail also just recently got a stat blocker. It might have been a few patches or so now that they've already had that, but they have a stat blocker now. So you can completely block out a stat that you don't want to level into at all, on top of selecting which stats you actually want to get into. And it's still cheaper than whatever Zenless is doing with us right now. That is the problem with building, but we'll talk about building in a little bit later. The reason I'm bringing up building right now is just to point out the fact that it is very difficult to control how you build your character in this game at the current point in time without an insane amount of RNG or luck. So coming back into the boss characters themselves, right? The HP inflation. Thrall has gotten a severe HP inflation, right? And some of the characters can still defeat him with M0 or potentially M1, get the 65k. A lot of them can't, right? Githari with Lycon used to be able to do it, and if I'm not mistaken, now she can't. I think the highest that she's getting is somewhere between 50 to 57k, give or take. Vesper with M0 Arya, when Vesper first released, was able to get the kill. M1 Arya definitely got the kill, and now M1 Arya is not consistently getting the kill. You do need a crazy amount of stats with an M1 Arya or maybe an M1 Nangong, right? But like, point is that in order for you to get that kill, it's way more consistent for all of the bosses for you to be at some 111 stat line or party setup, or a 222 or a 211 or a 221, whatever, right? Just vertical investment. Again, we'll talk about that very shortly. I'm just bringing it up now so you guys understand where this is going, or maybe not where this is going, but where this has gotten. And now that we've talked about vertical investment, or rather a little bit of, you know, sprinkling in here and there, HP inflation, who does this affect? HP inflation, as I've said before, typically only affects the player that is score chasing, the one that is going for the 30k, 40k, 50k, 60k. That is usually who it affects. Now, I understand this does affect someone to a smaller degree that is chasing for the 20k, right? They just want their 20k. I think that this is less of an HP inflation issue. I'll explain why. And I believe this is more of a account issue. So whether or not you have certain characters, whether or not you understand how to team build, whether or not you understand how to play whatever team you're using, whether or not you understand matchups and, you know, advantage versus disadvantage, all of these different things come into play when you're going for the 0 to 20k run. Okay. And I get it as far as like what a casual player or the average new player or whatever, right? I understand not everybody wants to sweat in the game. It's not really sweating, but I get it. Okay. The point being is that it's still a gacha game, and at some point you're gonna have to either pay up with some type of premium currency or money to get whatever it is you're looking for, the next best item, or you're gonna have to learn how to play the game better. That is literally just how the game is designed. It is what it is. Now, I don't have my graph on me. I have a whole like 3 videos that talk about this late last year, somewhere between like September to November-ish, right? If you can find them, they're on the channel. There's a graph that shows you the HP variances, or a website that shows you the HP variances of characters, right? And I'm just gonna talk. There might be some B-roll on the screen, I don't know. But all I want to get you guys to understand is, why do I say that the 0 to 20k threshold is way easier for a player, and HP inflation affects them less? Well, the reason I say that is because the way that HP increases in Deadly Assault is it goes up based on certain levels or calibers. So between 0 to 20k, that is what we would consider the standard HP amount. There's not really a drastic HP increase at this lower level. Once you breach that point, and let's say that you jump into the 20 to 30k threshold, and just for clarification's sake, the threshold is literally HP bars, okay? So if the boss has 20 HP bars, and you need to cross through 10 of them to get to 20k, the first 10 HP bars are almost static. They are pretty set across every single rotation that we've had so far. Those first 10 HP bars are like, hey, if it could clear it before, it could clear it now. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Once you get to HP bar number 11, going into like 12 or 13, 14, whatever it is, that's when HP inflation starts to really tick up, because they're not increasing the HP evenly across all 20 HP bars. They're increasing the HP in increments. large increments. There we go. They're increasing the HP in large increments per HP bar. So like I said, after 10, you go from 11 to 14 might be really easy. And then from 15 to 16, you get another increase. It'll double from what 14 was. Going into 16, it'll double. And then from 16 to 18, now it might triple, it might quadruple. And then for those final, like 19, it'll do another thing. And then 20, that final HP bar, it'll be times a gazillion, right? That is how it works within Deadly Assault. That is why HP inflation, I always say, affects the person who is score chasing more so than you're just going for the clear. So when you hear people and they're saying like, oh, it's because of HP inflation that I can't get my 20K, right? I could get 30K before, I could get 40K before, but HP inflation, now I can't get my 20K. That is not how that works at all. If you were getting 20K before, you can get 20K now. Now, what I will say though, is that some of them are a little too egregious, okay? I'm not saying that all of them are crazy, cracked out of their mind. Some of them just get these crazy skyrockets and jumps for literally no reason. I don't know why Zenless is doing that. I'm not defending that in any kind of way. I think it's really stupid. I've personally told them this is really stupid, stop doing that. And I have not gotten a response as to why they're doing it. But with that being said, that is simply just a thing. So let's kind of go back into the game real quick. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. Now that we're back here and like I'm weaning away from the HP inflation talk, right? With the scores, the 20Ks and all these other things like that. We do have the squad building mode. This is not new or new-ish, I guess, but whatever. Point being is that this could be a lot better. Why am I mentioning this? Because this would be very helpful for new players. The problem with this is it only tells you the characters that they were using. And for the most part, everyone is using premium teams, right? You don't really see free-to-play teams within these squad building guides. And I think that's kind of the problem with this mode. Like I could make a whole video or half a video on talking about why this particular thing is bad, or it's a bad implementation right now and how to improve it so that everybody could be better, right? The detailed guide is going to bring up here. It's literally just going to tell me how to fight the boss, right? Boom, that's it. It doesn't tell you how to use this team. It's not even paying attention to what's happening with this team. If I come over here and talk about this with the Thrall, this ain't even, look, they're showing me Seed. This ain't even, it's not even Billy, right? Billy, Dylan, Lucia. It's not even showing you anything. It's literally just telling you how to fight the boss. So like, yeah, that's fine to be able to fight the boss, but it's not helping you in terms of actually learning how to fight it with whatever team they're recommending. So as of right now, this is just very poor implementation. Now, there's two parts to in-game, right? Technically three with, I was going to call it anomaly arbitration, but it's not anomaly arbitration. I think it's simulated threshold, right? But simulated threshold is free if all you care about is rewards. If you don't care about rewards and you want to like score chase with the stuff over there, that's a lot different. Two in-game modes. Oh, this just reset. Interesting development. I'm not playing this right now. Just know that there's Shiyu 5. Okay, Shiyu 5 has 3 different floors. Unfortunately, because it literally reset the day I decided to record this video, I'm not doing it right now in the middle of my video. I just don't care enough. Speaking on this, where does horizontal investment apply? A lot of you guys understand what horizontal investment is, especially as a free-to-play player. What do you do, right? That's a question that I get all the time. Sometimes people get confused when they hear me, oh, I recommend vertical investment. And then they'll hear me talk about why horizontal investment is very good. And then they'll be, oh, you're contradicting, you're confusing the player. No, I'm not. Just use your ears, you'll keep up, okay? Horizontal investment is good for matchup spreads. Now, there are certain characters that you can invest into that have wide matchup spreads. Now, this, again, could be a whole different video. I could talk about this the entire time. All right. All of this is something that could be done. Okay, so a wide matchup spread. What does that mean? Let's take a character like the easiest one being Yi Xuan. Okay, Yi Xuan has a very broad matchup spread across the entire board. What's a matchup? A matchup is how does this character fare against a particular enemy? If we come back in here, Yi Xuan, the Thrall, right? And we come over here, not Yi Xuan, but Vesper. Vesper is weak to Ether. Vesper is favored for anomaly bosses, right? But guess who can beat up Vesper very easily? Yi Xuan. So that means that Vesper falls under her neutral or positive matchups. It means that Yi Xuan as a character or a team, whatever you want, is really just Yi Xuan. Yi Xuan as a character versus Vesper does not have a negative matchup. It is not a hard time for Yi Xuan to box Vesper, okay? So if you have an Yi Xuan, but you don't have Arya or any other Ether anomaly, and you're like, oh man, what do I do? Go fight Vesper with Yi Xuan. Why am I bringing that up? EO, why is that so important? Because a lot of the players, again, I remember I mentioned there's so many new players, but the problem with the newer players right now is that they're receiving, I can't advise everybody. R2 can't advise everybody. Lin can't advise everybody. Kate can't advise everybody. ALG can't advise everybody. Muzzy can't advise everybody, right? Like Soul, Flossin, all of us cannot give advice to every single person on the internet that plays this game. So a lot of you guys that are giving advice on Twitter, on Reddit, in Discord, whatever, unfortunately, I loathe to say this. Is that the right word? No, I actually relish in it, but whatever. That's the a-hole in me. You guys are giving bad advice. A lot of you guys are giving really bad advice. Like, I mean, when I say bad, I have to say it. You guys are giving shitty advice, okay? It's bad because you're not explaining things that they need to understand. So when you tell them this is the best team, you should do that, they understand why they need to do it. You're just telling them to do it. You're not explaining why they need to do it. And a lot of you guys don't even know why they need to do it or why you need to do it, right? Because you don't even know in order to explain it. You're just repeating something else you heard. So going back into the matchup spread, right? Why is that important? A horizontal investment means that you are investing not in every single character. I get it. And I need to say this. If you only play the game for fun, ignore everything that I'm saying. Like I'm not here to make the whole like waifu versus meta argument. If you're leaving a comment right now, or you've already left a comment right now talking about why does this matter because waifu, brother, just go ahead and delete the comment. Or I don't care if you delete it, leave it there, to be honest. But my point being is that I'm not making this video for you guys to say like, oh, well, why does that matter? Meta doesn't matter. Waifu, stop. You're watching a video about meta and how to progress forward with your account going into season 3. You should care about meta. The moment you score chase past 20K, you care about meta. The moment you start learning about how to play a team at an optimal level or how to fight the matchup, you care about meta. Stop. I hate that cop out. That cop out is such BS whenever someone's talking about meta and because they decide they don't want to invest or do something. Oh, well, I don't care. No one should care about meta. Stop. Anyway, horizontal matchup spread rant over. A horizontal matchup spread, it's good when you appropriately plan to have a horizontal, okay? So if I were, let's go over here. I'm gonna go to squad building real quick, do a random thingy, okay? You guys see I have like a lot of characters. Let's just kind of scroll down. Why is this down here? Whatever. So Miyabi, Nangong, and Yuzu, okay? So that's one, okay? None of these characters are vertically invested into outside of their W engine, but most of the time I don't consider that vertical investment. I get it. It's still an expensive pool, but whatever. 1, 2, 3. Let's say another team that I have, right? Let's say that Miyabi is the only Void Hunter that I have. I really like Pro Mia though, right? Boom. So we pull Pro Mia, but because Nangong and Yuzu are already over here, now I just have another Nangong Yuzu team. So the team would essentially look like this. Boom. Now I have 2 of the same element. They're both anomaly agents, which means they both handle, relatively speaking, the same matchups. Now we know this isn't true because a bloom damage or a bloom type damage is a little different than hers, but Miyabi can still handle that, especially with Nangong on the team. This is bad horizontal investment. Let's take it a step further and let's also say that you played day 1 and you got Ellen. You never got Lycon, but you did get Sokaku. So now you're still using something like Anbi and Sokaku, right? But what you would have probably done, because somebody would have told you to do this, because this is very foolish of them to do, but you would have done it. Astra. Now you're playing some stupid hyper carry Ellen Astra Sokaku team. This team doesn't functionally work for what you're trying to do because Sokaku doesn't want to be on the field like that, especially with Ellen doing whatever it is that she's doing. And you're getting less stuns. And because Ellen is a character that cares about stuns as an attack type, she wants stuns. So let's say that you've horizontally invested the wrong way. Well, man, EO, that's stupid investment. Why would they pull? That's the point. Because when you say waifu over meta, when you're telling people to horizontally invest, they're not thinking about meta. They don't care about what's happening in the game. They're just gonna pull whatever they like is what they pull, and that's what it is. These are the type of players that are running into the issues of I can't clear. I want to make that very clear. It's not the player that has every single character in the game and they're saying I can't clear. If they are, they're really just bad at the game. They're bad at playing video games, period. This player is not saying that. This is the type of player that's saying that. I'll even take it a step further and let's just say they also have Evelyn. Let's say they have Evelyn, they have Astra, but they don't have Lighter. So now they're forced to use, I don't know, Nicole, right? So you're gonna see someone doing something like this because for whatever reason, they never got Lighter. And these are the 4 teams they have. 3 ice characters, 1 fire type. You don't have a wide enough horizontal investment to handle multiple matchups across the board, okay? I know I said I can make a whole video on matchups. I'm probably doing it right now. I really don't want to. Like, I'm not, because we'll be here for an hour. I'm not gonna make a whole video on matchups inside of this video. I'm just gonna explain this and then we're gonna move on to vertical, okay? So horizontal investment, that's what that's for. Boom. Now, what's a good horizontal investment, right? Somebody or a team of characters that can handle a lot of matchups, all right? Why am I mentioning certain characters? Because if you're free to play, okay, keep this in mind. If you're free to play, you don't have infinite access to pulling every single character, their W engines, their best supports, whatever, in the entire game. At minimum, I think it's what, 12 or something like that you can get throughout the year. So you have the opportunity to get 12 characters, and I'm spitballing here. I could be less, I could be a little more. You have the opportunity to get 12 characters S rank characters, right? Limited throughout the entire year. You could lose 50/50s, which would reduce your 12. It would reduce your 12 down to like 10 or 8 or 7, whatever it is that you get, or even 6, depending on, like I said, the number. The point being is that 12 is what you're looking at the, you know, the average or whatever it is. So, and that's for the whole year. If you started horizontally investing, the problem with horizontal investment in the current state of the game, I mean, it's been this way as a problem, but right now, nothing is staying the same. Butcher keeps making a return because I think Butcher is literally one of the best bosses, if not the best boss to fight in the entire game. He's just a good boss, okay? From a design perspective, not from the like only ice or only ether. From a design perspective, he's just one of the best bosses in the game. Butcher always makes a return. Thrall's been making a crazy return lately. It is what it is, okay? Vesper is gonna be here for a lot longer because she's a brand new boss. We're gonna get new bosses. They're gonna start entering inside of the Deadly Assault as well. UCC is probably gonna make a return. I don't think we're seeing any more. I think Pompey finally had his last run. I don't quote me on that. This is just something that I heard. Pompey might have had his last run. He's a really good boss too. Typhon I think is done. They're not putting Typhon back in rotation. I think, I could be wrong, again, don't quote me on that. So there are certain bosses that are just phasing out. These bosses were great neutral bosses because everybody could beat it no matter what, right? It didn't really have a mechanic besides interact with whatever the enemy was doing. Now we're getting to a point where we have very specific design bosses. Ignore the anomaly for just a second because that's not like the most important thing here. The most important thing is probably the control skill. How do you fight Vesper, period? That is the important thing, okay? Vesper is a character. I was just literally watching my buddy play. He hasn't played the game in months. Actually a year. He hasn't played the game in a year. He came back just to get Lucia's weapon because he never had it. He fought Vesper just to get the polychrome, and he was like, this boss is horrible. It's ugly. And while I don't disagree with him that the parries and forced mechanics were a problem, I will say, and I told him this as well, that like you're just not engaging with the boss. And like that's fine because he just turned it on. He didn't care to learn it. He wasn't going to go through the rotation. He's not watching a guide. It's fine. The point being is that he was complaining about her moving around a lot and like doing a couple different things. And I'm like, you can stop her from doing all of that. And he is a very good player. He's the one that taught me how to look at the game the way that I do. So it's not like he can't do it. He just didn't want to do it, which is fair. Me explaining that to him and saying like she has these opportunities, plenty of them, that can stop you from doing this thing, or you can stop her from doing that thing. I'm bringing that up to tell you guys, again, it's less about anomaly. That's a huge factor, don't get me wrong, but it's more about what can your team or what can your character do to stop this character, this boss, from doing whatever it is she's doing. So we talk about this with like double evasive assist, which is most often with hyper carry teams, right? Or dual support teams. We talk about this most often and we say like, hey, well, you just don't have any defensive assist. So if you come across a boss that requires you to defensive assist, like is it Tepes? I think it's Tepes, right? The big guy, double fist, you gotta parry to break the guards on his arms, and then he takes double the damage instead of like 50% reduced damage, right? That guy. When you're fighting him, if you go into him with a dual support setup, you are already at a negative matchup. You can't break his arms effectively before you get to his stun. By the time he's ready to ramp up, it's already too late. You didn't break the arms in time. You're going to run out of assist points to be able to parry, and your one character, most likely your DPS, cannot do the enough defensive assist to parry everything unless you properly time it, and even then that's RNG. These are the things that I'm talking about regarding horizontal investment. So characters, again, I'll make a whole video on this. If you guys want it, just let me know in the comments down below. Characters that have really good horizontal investment are characters that pretty much box anything in the game, right? Or a lot of things in the game, and they don't care about it. All of your Void Hunters are great horizontal investments. This is why you hear the whole like just pull Void Hunters. I don't agree with that entirely, but it's not bad to say because they just box everything in the game. They're great vertical investors. They're amazing for horizontal investment if you want them on your account. And to be fair, right, as we just talked about with Vesper, you have Ishwin, you don't really need Arya. It's nice if you get her, right? But if you already have Ishwin and Ishwin can handle the boss, I kind of can save my pulls. I don't really need that. Now that I've explained that part, let's go into vertical investment. Yay, because this is something that a lot of you guys, not a lot of you guys, but some of you guys will challenge me on. Some of you guys will talk about in your own videos, right? Nothing wrong with that. But the reason behind vertical investment is not what you may think it is. Vertical investment is not to replace horizontal investment. You are not doing vertical investment instead of horizontal investment at the very beginning of your account or whatever it is. You are doing vertical investment after you've already horizontally invested into whatever it is that you need. So again, let's go back to some visual examples here. If I go into my account and we scroll all the way down to the bottom, I'm going to delete all this, but let's just say that I did this, okay? You do not vertically invest in an account like this. This is bad. Two of your teams share the literal same team. Your other two DPS share the same busted support, and you still don't have the things that these teams want. bad investment, bad horizontal investment. Let's clean this up a little bit, and let's go ahead and say that instead of another ice unit, even if we did get another ice unit, let's grab Yidhari, okay? Let's say that we have Yidhari, we picked Lycon from the selector. If you played since last year, you got a free selector to get Lycon. If you didn't, you probably lost a 50-50 to Lycon. Point being is that Lycon is free to play. You have opportunities to get Lycon. So let's just say that you have this, and then you either have Pan or you have Lucia. I'm gonna go with Pan. Why am I gonna go with Pan? Because now what this lets me do is I can get Yidhari and I can get her W engine, or I can get her M1. It doesn't really matter. Point being is that I can get a complete Yidhari with a strong free-to-play team, and I'm still clearing. This team still smokes anything that it's good at in the game. Now, why did I pick another ice type? Because Yidhari is a rupture agent. Rupture agents don't care about the element as much. I mean, they want it, obviously, don't let me tell you that lie. But what I mean by that, or what I'm trying to say, is that because she's a rupture agent, she can handle both attack bosses designed for attack characters, and she can handle rupture bosses, and she can handle ice weak bosses that may be from anomaly. As long as they don't resist ice, she can handle that. That's amazing. Because not only do you have an anomaly character to handle that, but now you also have something that if there's no rupture bosses, but there is an ice, an attack boss that's weak to ice or neutral, it's just not resistant to ice, Yidhari can handle that. Boom. Now we can go into Evelyn's team, right? And so we already have Astra, which is great. But now because we have Evelyn and we didn't use our limiteds for the Yidhari team, now we can go ahead and like maybe we had opportunities to grab Lighter, right? Or maybe we had an opportunity to get Trigger, or even more accurate, we had an opportunity to get Dylin. And so now we could have gotten Dylin to help out our Evelyn, because, you know, they're almost neck and neck when it comes to Lighter, especially if you don't have the vertical investment in Lighter, like his engine or M1s, M2s, things like that. And we could have gotten Astra, who doesn't need her engine at all. Very free to play friendly. So now, again, same thing, right? We can get Evelyn, we can get her engine if we wanted it, or we can do the Brimstone if you really wanted to do that, but preferably her engine. Point being is that you have the opportunity to do so. Then you have Dylin as well. If I were to just take these three characters in the game right now, just these three characters, you can beat every single boss in the game. Anything you come across in the game right now, these three, you can beat it with just these three, okay? But for comfortability's sake, let's go ahead and add another free-to-play unit that we could get away with that can help us. And keep in mind, you only need 3 teams. So having 4 teams, that 4th team is like a makeup option, if you will, okay? Let's go for something a little stronger, right? You could pick a Void Hunter if you wanted to. Oh yeah, Zhao was free as well. Let's try and build something based around Zhao. Let's go with, do we have Ether? We don't have Ether. So we want something with Ether, right? Let's go with Arya. Since we only need 3 teams, not 4, that means now we can share agents. So we can go ahead and pick up Lycon, right? Boom. And then we can round that off with Zhao, and we're done. It's not the perfect setup. You don't have the best in slot team for everything. You could even put Yuzu on the team instead of Zhao. Like I'm just now looking at that, and Nangong, right? Like you could alternate. This is what I mean by vertical investment. So you have characters for free, Lycon, Pan, and then Zhao. Okay, so those are your 3 characters for free. Remember, I said that we have potentially 12 limited S ranks that we can get throughout the entire year. We got Arya, we got Yidhari, we have Evelyn, Dylin, and Astra. We have Yuzu, Nangong, and Miyabi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because somebody has their engines. Whoop-de-damn-do. You have now successfully horizontally invested into your account. Going into the next phase, so season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5, this is now when you start vertically investing. I know there's a long-winded video, my bad, but it's just, there's so much that I saw over the weekend, guys, when I was at Combo Breaker and like speaking with people about the game. I just absorbed a lot, and I'm like, you're doing it wrong. Like, how do I tell you you're doing it wrong without coming off as like you are bad at the game? Because it's not probably that you're bad at the game, it's probably that you just don't have this information, right? Cool. So moving along, going into vertical investment. Now this is when you vertically invest, okay? And why would I say vertical investment is good? Going back to what we're talking about over here with the Deadly Assault, vertical investment is now required to get these higher scores. Getting that 65K, that 50K, that 40K, whatever it is. Vertical investment also provides longevity to your own account so that you can prepare your next team for whatever's going on in a safe manner. You can guarantee these characters, right? You don't have to fish for it. Oh, I hope I win the 50-50. I hope I get it early, because if I don't get it early, then I can't make my pull. You don't have to do that anymore. Vertical investment allows you to properly save or pick up what you need whenever it comes back around, okay? Going back into what we're talking about here with vertical investment. Okay, what I vertically invest into, M1 Astra, boom, that's amazing. She's gonna help out so much in your team. You're chilling. Do I need M1 Yidhari? I don't need M1 Yidhari, right? M0 W1 Yidhari is a phenomenal character to do what she needs to do to get the job done. She's still clearing everything in the game, so I don't have to vertically invest into her. Miyabi, M1 Miyabi, M2 Miyabi, absolutely. You would love love that. M1 Yuzu, M2 Yuzu, you would love that, right? M1 Nangong, you would eat off of that. So all of these are great vertical investment options that you can pick up, and Miyabi may or may not roll around the corner and like, oh, you know what? I have M0 Miyabi with her engine already, or I have M1 Miyabi without her engine, and I've been struggling with that. Or even better, hey man, I have M0 Miyabi. She's rolling around the corner. I lost a bunch of W engine or standard pull 50/50s, and I got Fusion compiler. I have an R3 Fusion compiler, right? Wind is coming up, and I've heard a lot about Wind and why it's like anti-Miyabi. We'll have a whole different video on that, but I've talked about that with Miyabi. Well, I could run this new build that's specifically designed to help Miyabi fight against win matches or win matchups or win bosses, and I could run Fusion compiler. Now I don't need her W engine. I could just go ahead and grab M1 Miyabi. Fuck it. I can get M2 Miyabi. Fuck it. Why not? Right? You could do that. Arya. Do I need M1 Arya? No, you don't. Do I need Zhao's W engine? No, you don't. It's great, but you don't need it. So now it's like all of these different things that I don't have to vertically invest in, and I still clear comfortably going into season 3, going into season 2, season 4, season 5. That is the entire point of horizontal versus vertical investment. Again, it's not a matter of doing one or the other. You do one, then you do two. Okay. I've explained that in comments a number of times, and still people act like they're cuckoo in the head and they don't understand that. It's a very simple concept to understand. You do one, then you do two. You don't do one and two. My bad. You don't do one or two. You do one and then you do two. Okay. You don't do two and then you do one. You do one and then you do two. All right. It's that simple. So now that I've talked about all of that and we've kind of gone over HP inflation, where it is, the state of the game, and then the vertical investment, now we talk about like why all of, I mean, I guess I already explained in the video why all that stuff is important for free-to-play players and whatnot. Why is this important going into season 3? I think this is important, or I believe this is important going into season 3, because season 3 is introducing a new mechanic, a new element, which is wind. We're having wind swept, we're having vortex, and I've talked a little bit about that. Again, I can't really talk about the leaks, but we've seen them. Some of us have seen them. I've seen a few of them on Twitter, and I've seen how Miyabi interacts with wind. I still think it's a anti-Miyabi mechanic because it is innately designed to be against or go against what Miyabi wants out of her own kit. However, Miyabi is such a versatile character that she's still able to find a counter to her matchup. Now, is this counter easily accessible? No. So whenever somebody tells you, just do that, no, stop. Don't tell people that, okay? I've even gone and I've done the research. I've labbed it out myself, okay? Just to be able to say, don't do that. Can she do it? Yes. Is it easily accessible? No. You do need a lot of resources to be able to counter wind with Miyabi. Can she do it on her own? No. And that is the key answer there. If you play mono ice, can you counter wind? No, you can't do that. You need more than mono ice, right? You need a M2 Miyabi or M1 with her, whatever, right? R5 Fusion compiler, all these different things. Okay, so I'm explaining that. I'm not explaining that so to deter you from playing or investing into your Miyabi. I'm explaining that so that you understand when someone tells you this thing, X, there usually is a and Y attached to it, right? There's a X if Y is met. If the condition of Y is met, then X is true. That is usually how that works. You don't just have a flat out, yeah, it's X. Like that. No, it doesn't work that way. Valina is going to be a character that might shake up the meta. I don't fully know yet, right? Because she is the first of the elements. And usually with Hoyo games, that character will be broken as or there's another character coming out like 2 or 3 patches later that's going to somehow automatically replace that character or be just as strong or work in tandem. I don't know. I didn't mean to do that. 6-7. I didn't mean to do that. But it is what it is. Okay, so that's kind of where we're going at when it comes to season 3. Season 3, also, if you guys remember, I talked about this. I made a whole video on it, and if you would have seen the dev blog, you saw this as well. Season 3 is 95% combat focused. Their whole intent is to work on the combat and to deliver revamped version of combat in Zenless Zone Zero. Why is that important? Because we've already seen this. I got to go back into the game to show you guys. We've already seen what they're doing right now with some of these bosses in the game. Butcher, again, one of the best bosses in the game. Butcher is literally a fighting game boss. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. All right, this motherfucker he will literally throw fireballs at you. He will feint the fireball. He will FADC you. I'm using a term from Street Fighter 4. No, he doesn't have a real FADC, but he has something equivalent to it where he can throw a fireball, cancel it, and uppercut the crap out of you with his hammer. All right, he has feints or fake outs where if you went for a parry, he decided, you fell for it, and then he clips your shit with his tail. He has moves where if you do actually get a parry, he will shut down your parry so that you can't do a follow-up attack. You're sitting there mashing your follow-up attack, and then he's gonna clip you anyway. Butcher is an amazing boss to fight. He's wonderful. I love it. All right, we aren't getting more Butchers. That's the problem. We're not getting more Pompeys. which even then, Pompey is a great boss, but we found out how to like cheese Pompey, and we're not getting more of those. We are getting more Thralls. We are getting more Vespers. This is important for vertical investment. This is important for learning or understanding how to horizontally invest. And this is most important for, I'm speaking to my new players, especially here, because like, you know, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Veteran players are going to do whatever they want, right? They're so stuck in there like, I'm the best. I know everything that I'm doing. This game is piss easy, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they're spending $3,000, or they're the most lucky free-to-play person on the entire planet, and they have every single character free-to-play, by the way. I get all my things on the first 30 pulls. I can never take these guys seriously. What I'm explaining is that when you are a new player, learn how to play the game. You have to. You can't come into Thrall and just mash. We've all seen it. It doesn't work. Even your top players could not come into Thrall and just mash. When they did it, they got less than 20K. They got less than 30K. They failed the run. They had to learn whatever Thrall was doing. There was a whole debacle about it when Thrall first came out, where content creators and players were just like, oh my God, it's the worst boss in the game. And then we learned how to fight it, and it's not a big deal anymore. He's still bad, don't get me wrong, but he's not the worst boss in the game. He's just annoying. Vesper, same thing. I have a whole guide on this, both written and in video format. Oh, this is the worst boss in the game. No, it's not. Here's why. Oh, well, now that you've explained it in the guide, it's actually not that bad. I know. So we're here now. You have to learn. They are forcing you to engage with the bosses and whatever their mechanic is. Now, why? I know why now. Or at least I have a theory as to why. Let me say that. I have a theory as to why. When I was talking with my buddy and we were going through the whole Vesper fight and like why I was, he also loves Butcher. Again, Butcher is one of the, if not the best boss in the game. So when talking about why Butcher was so great, I understood why some of these older players, right, veteran players that are really good at the game, the ones that actually care about the combat and like learn the in-depth things in the game, the mechanics in the game. I understand why they like bosses like Butcher or Pompey, and they hate bosses like Vesper and Thrall. It's because when you're fighting Butcher, you're allowed to do the tango. You're allowed to dance, right? When you dance with Butcher, it feels like I'm doing my turn, you're doing your turn. I'm stealing my turn. Now you have to react, right? There's a lot of that. When you play against, I won't even say Vesper, because Vesper has more opportunities to steal versus Thrall. When you fight against Thrall, there is no tango. There's not really a dance. It's literally, I'm coded to do this thing. I'm not changing it, and you're gonna accept it. You're gonna deal with it. If you don't engage with whatever it is that I'm doing, you're cooked. That doesn't exist for Butcher. It's very mild for Vesper, but she still has those same things, right? If you don't engage with my control skill, you're cooked. If you don't stop me from being a rampant boss, you're cooked. Now that is a little different. That's why I defend Vesper. Vesper's engaging is still a dance. It's different than the Thrall. Thrall's engagement is forced. You don't have a choice. You have to engage with Crocodile. If you don't handle Crocodile, you will never clear this boss. You have to engage with it. You can clear Vesper without engaging in her mini shutdown mechanics. You can let her be as aggressive as she wants to be, and you can still get your 20K. So like, they're not the same. Moving on from that point though, we are getting more of these two types of characters, all right? We're not getting any more Butchers. Again, why is that important? Because as I said, you have to learn how to fight these bosses. If the thing that you are currently struggling with is already in the game, its HP inflation has steadily increased, making it harder for you to get higher scores, but you're still having a problem clearing. If that already exists, and they've already told you as developers, we are going to make more of this thing, we're going to make it more challenging, and we're going to make more detailed characters, more complicated characters to get the true value out of. They've already come out and said they're trying to make less Astras. Not that Astra is bad, and I understand that Astra has tech. I'm not bringing that up to dog Astra out. I'm saying they're making less simplistic characters where all you need to do is press one button and the thing happens. Or a character that's off field primarily, they don't do anything really, and they get all the value, right? Like a Zhao. They're making less of those characters and more characters where you need to be able to on-field the character for exactly 3.9 seconds, activate this thing, do whatever, swap out, go into another character, immediately swap back into the other character because they get a full refresh on their skill. I don't know. They're making stuff like that now, okay? That is their intention. So you are forced to learn more than what you were comfortable learning in season 1 or season 2. And even in season 2, they tried it, but a lot of it was met with pushback. As I said before, a lot of people were just like, I don't want to do that. And it's like, you probably should learn how to do it. The earlier you learn these things, the better it is. That's why I have a video on my channel where I literally go over the fact, as a new player, when is the best time to learn? The beginning of the game. You have from level 1 all the way up to level 40, level 45, level 50 for you to learn the entire game free. You don't have to worry about in-game, because all the things that you need to learn or learn from are inside of the main story. They're inside of the side stories, inside of the events. You have training mode. Go into training mode and learn a combo. All of my guides have been featuring combos lately, very beginner friendly stuff that you guys can go and pick up, practice, learn it, and then you're comfortable. Why are combos so important? Control. That's really all it is. The more control you have over your own actions within the game, the easier it will be for you to pilot whatever it is that you're facing. The easier it'll be for you to fight those matchups, and the easier it'll be for you to find or look for counters against your negative matchups, right? Sometimes that's all you have. I understand that. I really do, because you don't have everything. I just explained that thing with the 12 limited characters, right? So when it's all you have, what is your option? You're going to give up, or you're going to figure out how to do it. Now, me personally, the way that I was raised in my household, my father, okay, my father, I love Heath Ledger. Anyway, the way that I was raised is that if I met with a brick wall, you either go around it or you punch through it. I guess technically you could jump over it. That's an option too. Now we have option, you could dig under the wall, but whatever. Anyway, point being is that I'm going to find a way to get to the other side, because I don't want to just give up, right? And it is what it is. It is what it is. There are multiple ways to do that. If you're the type that just gives up, I could help you, but I don't think you want the help. And that's the difference there. Anyway, I've taken up 50 minutes. This video shouldn't be 50 minutes, but I've taken up like 40 something minutes of your time. Thank you for watching today's video. If you have any other questions, if you want that matchup video, let me know. I feel like I gave you guys a really good breakdown of matchups in this video though, but if you want more, let me know. I'll spin it. All of this month, what we're doing is I'm trying to address new players or players just trying to learn the game, get more familiar before season 3 gets here. That's a very important thing. I want to help you guys as much as possible learn whatever it is that you're struggling with before season 3 gets here, because when season 3 gets here, it's basically like going from, you know, like in classes, you go on like math, and then you go from math, you're learning addition, and then now all of a sudden you're learning multiplication and division. And then after that, you start learning, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know what's after multiplication and division, because in my brain, we just jump straight to pre-cal and then calculus, right? But point being is that trigonometry and some other BS, you start taking, right? You learn on top of the other thing. That is what season 3 is. Season 1 was base. Season 2 is a little bit more like beginner friendly or intermediate stuff. And then season 3 is heavy intermediate. I don't know, right? That's kind of what we're getting into, right? Season 3 is calculus, I guess. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Smell you later.